I think whole class instruction is an important component in writing workshop. What you're always trying to do is maximize your time as a teacher. And so if there's a skill that somebody, that really most of the class or the whole class needs, it doesn't make sense to do it with 4 different groups, or very often it doesn't make sense to do it with 4 different groups. It makes sense to work on it with the whole class. And not only that, but you've got the added advantage, I especially like to do whole class work when we're coming to understand the way a new genre works, the way a new kind of writing works. Because then you've got feedback from 20 or 25 kids, and they're listening to each other, and an important part of that listening is recognizing, hey, Joey can figure this out, and if he can figure it out, I can figure it out. Whereas if you're asking them to do it individually, or you're asking them to do it in a small group, you don't have that same kind of synergy as well as energy.
To be successful, a writing workshop needs to support individual students. But as Jack Wilde suggests, there's still a place for whole class lessons that introduce new genres or address new writing skills. In many cases, teachers create these lessons in response to needs they observe in their students. Other times, the lessons are part of an established curriculum. They can be centered on a single subject or part of extended teaching units that stretch over days or even weeks. Regardless of these choices, whole class lessons require careful planning and consideration. What part of writing instruction lends itself to whole class delivery? Which strategies or approaches should the teacher choose? And how should whole class instruction be balanced with other learning activities? Teaching the writing craft takes you to 3 intermediate classrooms to see how outstanding teachers integrate whole class lessons into their writing workshops. The first stop is Mark Hansen's 3rd grade in Portland, Oregon, where the students are learning about persuasive writing. Today, Mark kicks off the genre study with a whole class activity, analyzing a persuasive letter written by another 3rd grader.
This student wrote this: Dear Portsmouth Neighborhood Association, I am a 3rd grader at Clarendon Elementary School, and I live in the Portsmouth neighborhood. I'm writing to tell you about a problem I think our neighborhood should work on together. Every day I walk to school like most of the kids at my school, and there are some scary dogs that make me worried. Sometimes one of the dogs gets out of the yard and chases some kids. I want people to know that it is not okay for their dogs to get loose. I think the neighborhood association should help this problem by letting people know that they have to keep their dogs in their property. And I love that. He says it really nicely. And he says exactly what he wants. I think the neighborhood association should help this problem by letting people know that they have to keep their dogs in their property. Is that clear what he wants?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So that's a great introduction to what he's talking about. Everyone with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's read on. 2nd paragraph there. There are a lot of good reasons to keep dogs in their yards. I think you will agree with me about these reasons. If you would like to contact me, you can write back at the address on the envelope, or you can call my teacher at the school. You can also use this letter in your newsletter so people will see what I'm saying. Thanks for your help. Okay. Questions, comments, connections about this letter, what you noticed here? Austin.
At the end, where it says you can write to me back, it doesn't have like the address.
Okay, well, read that whole sentence. What did he say?
If you would like to contact me, you can write back at the address on the envelope, or you can call me my teacher.
Okay, do you see where he says the address is on the envelope? So the envelope that you send a letter in, you put the address where it's going, but you also put the address where it's from. And it can be like the return address.
Mark is committed to an inquiry approach in his teaching, so he begins with an open-ended question. What did you notice in this letter? But after the students talk for a few minutes, he focuses their attention on a single feature.
I'd like you to take your copy of the letter, and I want you to circle the part of the letter where you think he says what he wants people to do. And this is interesting because it's not always easy to find this kind of thing in a letter. But I'm going to start asking people what their opinion is of this. Okay. Circled a couple things there. Great. And what was the part where he circled what he wanted to happen? What did he want them to do? Jesus?
Keep their dogs in privacy.
Keep their dogs where?
And privacy.
In their property. Keep their dogs on their land, right? Okay, and so Jesus, you're saying this part right here?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, did anyone agree with Jesus? Anyone else agree with Jesus around that part? Okay, did anyone else find somewhere different? Raise your hand if you found somewhere different. Ashley, what did you think?
If the dog is mean, then it could attack a kid or someone else pet, like a smaller dog or cat.
Okay.
That's what I put.
You put that too? Now, is that the part, is he letting them know what he wants them to do there, or is he giving them a reason?
A reason.
A reason. So look again at the letter, Ashley, and see what else you might find. Megan?
I want people to know that it is not okay for their dogs to get loose. I think the neighborhood association should help this problem by letting people know that they have to keep their dogs on their property.
Okay, so you went all the way up here. I want people to know that it is not okay for their dogs to get loose. Does that tell people what he wants to happen?
Yes.
And then the next sentence goes on. I think the neighborhood association should. And there's a key word right here, which is should.
Help.
You should help. You should do this. That's telling people what he wants. Why did I have you circle this? Why is this an important part of the letter? Why am I drawing your attention to that part of the letter? What do you think? Isaiah?
Because you want us to know about what's going on.
I do. And there's something, well, let me hear from Megan. What do you think?
I think that it's the part where they are saying what they want done and why, what the problem is and why they think it or something.
Exactly right. If you are trying to persuade someone, Celia, and you don't tell them what you want, are they going to do it?
No. They don't know what you're talking about.
If you don't say your ideas clearly, are they going to understand you?
No.
Yeah. So when you write a letter, you have to figure out a way to say what you want to happen very clearly. You have to let that person know, I want this. Does that make sense why this part is important of the letter?
Yes.
And for now, I'm just going to call this the big idea. And everyone in here is going to have a big idea of what they want to change. Is that clear? So when I say big idea, are you going to know what I mean?
Yes.
What is your big idea? What do you want people to do? One thing that I had to learn a lot about in doing, which I think is really effective, that I learned from the Portland Writing Project was analyzing text as a method of teaching what you can do with text. And so that's why today we marked up the letters to look for specific aspects of a persuasive letter that they're going to need to include in their own. And so going through and marking it, underlining. A lot of people use highlighters or different colored crayons or that kind of thing. And then being very explicit about naming what those things are. And we'll go back to that. But that's one element that I think is hugely instructive for kids, to be led through looking for it, marking it, and internalizing it that way.
As Mark's lesson unfolds, the students continue to identify other features of persuasive letters. Once the analysis is complete, they'll apply what they've learned to their own writing. In another third grade class, this time in Indianapolis, it's the second day of a poetry unit. On the first day, teacher Latasha Rowley led the students in discussing the elements of poetry. Today, she begins with a whole class discussion that will help her students categorize poems.
So, feeling poems. What do we think are some of the things that these poems would be like about, or if you had a feeling poem, what would you think about with that kind of poem? You can go get a tissue. What would you think? Oh, okay. Yes.
Love poem.
Oh, love. I think that's real key, isn't it? Love. I like that. So it'd be about love. That's important. Anything else? Donna?
Sad poem.
Oh, yeah, they could be sad, couldn't they? Yeah. And those are tough to read, aren't they? Because they might make us do what? Yeah, it might water our eyes, make us cry. But yeah, we know in the feeling poems, there probably will be something sad. Jayla?
Happy poem.
Could be happy. And if we're happy, we might do what?
Laugh.
We might laugh. So there could be some humor. You've heard that before.
Yes.
Humor. Make us laugh. Todd?
Boring.
Could be boring. Yeah. When we look at poetry, we just think about the feeling part of a poem. But I wanted the kids to also know that there's something you're going to see in a piece of poetry as well. Because the way you shape it or the way you put it on the page, it kind of helps you see it or feel it different. But I wanted them to be able to distinguish when they pick up a piece and they say, oh yeah, I feel something from this piece, or wow, this is a great visual. I mean, I'm really seeing something, whether it's in the words or the shape of it. What would be some poems that we would put in the category of seeing? Seeing. And we're thinking of seeing as what it looks like on the page, as well as words that paint a picture. So think about that kind of thing, and what would you come up with?
Cats, maybe? Cats?
What do you mean?
Like, some people write about cats. Yeah, some people write about cats because they like cats. They like to make poems of cats.
So how would that be a seeing poem? How would you explain it to me that that's a seeing poem?
Because you can see cats.
You can see it. How do you see the cats in the poem?
Because you might put a picture in it.
Okay, it could have a picture. What else?
Because it's total. White.
You got any more or no? What?
Paintings.
Okay, so this picture, drawings,
Yeah, drawing.
paintings. That all can go with the poem and make us see some things. So pictures, drawings, paintings. But let's see if we can get some more things. Joy.
People.
What do you mean?
Like daydreamers.